Thank you very much. Thank you, Indiana. You love Indiana, right? The Hoosiers, the Hoosiers. Oh, this is so great. You know, I wasn't supposed to be here today. I'm supposed to be here in 2 weeks. You know that. But I had to come early. I came early. I said, what are we doing? Let's go to India. It's true. Actually, that's a true story. So we had a great night last night in New York. The people of New York were amazing. They were amazing. And I thought they would be, but you never really know. And then I started getting these phenomenal polls, and everyone said you're going to win way over 50%. Oh, that's okay. Oh, these people. But they make it exciting, right? You know the good news. Look at all those reporters back there. Now they'll go and they'll train the camera. It's right over there. Look at all the people we have. Go ahead. You can get them out. Get them out. Right there. Get them out. Don't hurt them, of course. Don't hurt them. All right. Get them out. Never ends. It never ends. But it does make it exciting. All right, that's right. Look, wise guy, wise guy. Yeah, that's right. You know, Bernie's gone. You know that, don't you? Bernie's gone. I love running against crooked Hillary. I love that. I mean, it's so much better, better. Bernie wouldn't be as much fun. All right. So I just want to thank you. But last night was amazing. We had an evening that was, and you never know with the polls, right? You know, I'm getting these polls. He's going to get 52%. He's going to get 54%. Then the press is saying, oh, if he doesn't get 54%, they'd make it into a loss. And, you know, who gets 54%? Very few, especially when you have two other candidates, by the way, that are in favor of Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a disaster, that are, in the case of Lion Ted Cruz, Lion Ted, lies. Oh, he lies. You know, Ted, he brings the Bible, holds it high, puts it down, lies. And you know, the evangelicals, they've been supporting Donald Trump. It's been great. It's been great. We've won a lot. We've won a lot. And I will say this, look, you're looking at a situation in our country where our jobs are being ripped out of our states. I'm not just talking here. They're being ripped out of our states. They're being ripped out of our country. Like I say it, like candy from a baby. They're going to Mexico. They're going all over. China has been doing numbers on us for years. And, you know, I don't mind China. They have been doing numbers on us for years. We're going to lose $500 billion in terms of trade, in terms of balance. Look at the balance. It's a one-way street. We have rebuilt China with a trade deficit that is unsustainable, and it's amazing that it's been going on so long. I told a story the other day to show you how incredible our country is. I have a friend, he's very sick. He was supposed to pass away a year ago. He's a great guy, tough guy, strong guy, tough, like a lot of the people from Indiana. I mean, he's tough. Not as tough as a true Hoosier, but he's tough. I will tell you, so he keeps lingering and lingering, and he's lingering, and I say, wow. And I call him every day, every other day. I say, how you doing? And he goes, I'm okay, I'm doing good. And just an amazing guy, strong. And that's our country. Because when you're losing the kind of money we do on trade, when we're defending the world on military and paying for it, and don't get the respect, don't get the proper treatment, don't get anything. You look at what happens with these countries that we take care of, it is absolutely horrible. When our country continues to go forward, even though it's got massive problems, massive deficits, it sort of reminds me of him. Our country is being taken advantage of, And eventually our country is going to be in such trouble, and I'm not going to use, because I would never use the word that our country's going to die, but it's going to be a much different place if we don't get smart very, very quickly on trade, on defense. We have to build our military strong. We have to build it big, strong, powerful, so that we're not messed with. You look at what Putin is doing in Russia with nukes. You look at what Putin's doing in Russia with his military. It's modernized. They're building all over. Wherever they feel they need, they put. We don't do that. We're getting smaller, smaller, weaker, weaker. We have to build up our military. We have to make it strong. Our country right now is so vulnerable. When General Oriano left about a year ago, he said our country is very ill prepared. And he said never has he seen it like this. And we're talking at a time when probably we have to be more prepared than at any time before. So we're going to build up our military. We're going to have a great and powerful military that hopefully we don't have to use. And by the way, and we're going to take care of our veterans, because our veterans have not been taken care of properly. So one of the reasons I had this incredible victory last night, everybody's talking about, it's really nice. You know, it's a great feeling. Build the wall. He wants to build the wall. Let's go. We're going to build the wall, believe me. Believe me, that wall's getting built. I love you too. I love you too. No. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to build the wall. And you know, when Carrier, that left here, goes to Mexico and they want to sell their product across the border and no tax, no nothing, we're going to say, sorry, folks, we have a nice, strong border. We have a nice, beautiful wall. You're going to bring it across the border and we're going to charge you a 35% tax after what you did. It's no good. It's no good. I mean, I'm looking at statistics. One of the reasons that New York gave me such an incredible vote, a vote far beyond what the polls said, and I wasn't surprised. When you look, the vote was incredible. It was record-setting, and it's New York. And you know what is nice, I have to say? The place that knows me best gives us that kind of whatever. You know, it's really nice. They know me. They know the good, the bad, they know everything. They know me, and they give, and they're tough. They're tough, like you, they're tough. And we had a great evening, really a great evening. It was an amazing evening. But here's the thing. All over New York State, we're losing our jobs. All over New York State, Long Island, the whole place, we're losing jobs. We're losing them to Mexico. We're losing them to so many other places. And we cannot, as a country, allow this to happen again. And it's happening to you, and it's happening to every state. This isn't unique. And I can, you know what I did, and I always did. I go to places, and I say, give me some of the statistical information on the different places. This is you. And by the way, I have to tell you, you have a governor, Governor Pence, who's really fighting hard for you. All right, get him out. Go, get him out. Get him out. Oh, he's got a Trump mask on. Got a Trump mask. It's all right. Now, if he took the mask off, people would know who he is, but that's okay. Boy, these protesters aren't very tough around here. That's good. I don't know. I'm a little disappointed in Indiana. I said, get him out, and he walks out. That's pretty easy. You don't even need our great police. And by the way, the police forces of this nation have to be given far more credit than they're given, okay? They're great. They're great. And before I forget, I have to say, I have two friends in the audience, two great people, Steve Hilbert and Tommy Sue. Where are you, Steve? Where is my Steve and Tommy? Look at these, the greatest people. So I have to give them a shout out. Not a big deal. Takes only a second, but they're too special, and everybody knows who they are. Incredible people. Thank you very much. So before I come up to different places, and I did it all last week, I went to Syracuse, New York, I went to Rochester, I went to Albany, and I get these statistical workouts, and here we go. Because if you look at what's happened to your coal industry, folks, we're going to bring it back, okay? We're going to bring it back, clean coal. We're going to bring steel back to Indiana. Big league. Big league. But you look, and it says, few states in America have seen income declines more than Indiana. Now, one of the reasons is because our jobs are being gone. Indiana has lost 1 in 5 manufacturing jobs since China joined the World Trade Organization, 2002. Ted Cruz supports Chinese currency cheating. That's how they kill us. And I have to say, you know I'm self-funding my campaign. So when I come here, I come here. Got a lot of money in. Now, I have to say, I'm proud of the fact that I have a lot of money in, but I spent much less money than these politicians. I have to say, I'm proud of it. You know, if I spent more, I'm just another guy. I spent a lot less. You know, it was interesting. In New Hampshire, I spent $1.5 million. Jeb Bush spent, well, 20, 30, I don't know, some. And I was first in a landslide. We won New Hampshire, which is a great place. My first win was New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire. We won. And by the way, they have a massive drug problem. They have a massive cocaine problem. And I told them, if I get elected, I'm going to stop that problem. It's poisoning our youth, and you have it too. And we're stopping. And you know where the problem is emanating from, and everybody does. And it just keeps happening. So we're going to stop that problem. But it's sort of nice when somebody can spend less and get more. Isn't it nice? It's like I'm building in Washington, D.C. on Pennsylvania Avenue, the old post office, one of the most sought-after jobs in the history of the General Services Administration. I got it. In fact, I put Ivanka in charge. Does everybody know Ivanka? Yes. And I got it because we have a great statement and because we have a great plan. Everybody wanted. I mean, it was one of the most sought-after ever in the history. And right now, the building is way ahead of schedule. It's going to open up like 1.5 years ahead of schedule, and it's under budget substantially. And I actually increased the scope. I went from linoleum to marble. I'll tell you what, this is going to be one of the great hotels of the world. But there's something nice, because I'm looking at the numbers the other day, and I said, wow, we're under budget, we're ahead of schedule, and the job is better than I ever promised the country it would be. It's on Pennsylvania Avenue. That was very important to me, because if I don't win the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, then I'm just going to stay at my hotel, and it's practically, I mean, I want to be on Pennsylvania Avenue. I know I have your vote. This guy's shouting, I have your vote. I appreciate it. I think I have a lot of votes in this room. Do I have everybody's? You know, we're going to bring our country back, folks. We're like the people with the incompetent leaders that don't know what they're doing. They have no idea what's happening. They don't know about currency cheating, monetary manipulation. They don't understand devaluation of their currencies that are just absolutely eating us alive. And it's not going to happen anymore, folks. We've got to be the smart people. You know, I'm a free trader. Some of these people would say, he is not a free trader. I say, folks, I want to be smart. We want to have smart trade. You know, somebody would say, he is not a true conservative. I am so conservative. But we have to make great deals, right? Right now, when we have free trade, that's fine if you have smart leaders. We have dummies. We don't have smart leaders. We don't have smart leaders. So what happens, as an example, is China. China sends all its stuff over here, and by the way, they're dumping steel all over the place, and they're knocking out your steel. You understand that. But China sends stuff over here. No tax, no nothing, no problem. Come on in, folks. We don't care if it's good product, bad product. When we want to go to China with your companies from Indiana, it's impossible to get the product in, and if you do get it in, they tax you right through the hilt. I don't know if they were, I think so. Oh, we love it. Do we love this? This is, it's okay. Yeah, you can get them out. Just get them. You know the only problem? The great thing is the cameras will turn. That's the only time they turn. They always keep the camera on my face. They never say, like, how big, look at the size of this crowd. But when they have somebody over there, they show the crowd. So look, friends of mine in manufacturing cannot get their product into China. That is not fair trade. It's not free trade. It's stupid trade for our country, and we're not going to do it anymore, folks. We're not going to do it anymore. Now, let's talk, because this hits home. As some of you know, I've been talking for a long time about Carrier. Yeah, get them out. Get them out. You know, they all came at the same time in the same little section, and they go one at a time, raise their hand. And I have to tell you, we have the safest rallies and probably the safest places to be anywhere in the country. The safety here is incredible. You know, when I first started this, we're getting these massive crowds. We had 35,000 people in Alabama. We had 25,000 in Tampa and Orlando. I mean, we have big crowds. And when I first started, when there'd be somebody like this, wise guys, you know, but when I first started, I'd say, get him out, get him out. And the next day, the press was like, oh, he was terrible the way he talked to those people. You know, you have these people screaming, shouting, and punching people. So I said, get him out. Next day, I said, you know, I'm going to do it differently. So we had a protester. You know, they're agitators. They're professionals. Most of them, do you ever see their signs? They're made in a factory. Probably in China. They're not made here, they're made in China. But they hold up a sign that's factory made. I want the ones that make the signs in the garage, right? That's the ones. But the next day, we had a protester. And I said very gently, okay, get him out. Be easy. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. And of course, we never want anyone to be hurt, right? Do we agree? No. What are you talking about? So what happened, I said, easy, don't do it. Very easy. And the next day, so they criticized me for being too tough the first day. The second day, they said, Donald Trump's not as tough as we thought. Can you believe it? So you can't win with these people. By the way, those people, look at all those cameras zooming. They are the most dishonest people in the world. The media. They are the worst. They are the worst. They are very dishonest people. They are terrible. They are, honestly, and I don't mean all, but I mean like 75, 80%. And they know it. They know it. They know. These are not stupid people, but they're very dishonest people in many cases. Do we like the media? Do we hate the media? Okay. Now, I don't hate anybody. I love the media. They're wonderful. But, hey, I guess we wouldn't be here maybe if it wasn't for the media, so maybe we shouldn't be complaining, right? So here's what's going to happen. You have, and let's talk about, because it's such a great example. Now, I could use Ford. They're moving, as you know, massive operations to Mexico. Nabisco, massive factory to Mexico, ripping it right out of Chicago. But here we have Carrier, so we're going to talk about it, okay? We're going to talk about it. So Carrier fired the 1,400 people. Are any of those people in the audience? You got to be kidding. Were you both fired? How long did you work there? 26 years. You look like you're 26 years old. And 26 years, 17 years. All right. Well, you tell me if I'm right. So they get fired rather ruthlessly by somebody that looked like he was upper mid-level management. And somebody had their cell phone going. And most of you saw the deal. And I thought it was terrible. I was sitting home, I'm watching the news, and I see 1,400 people get fired from Carrier. And the man said, we're going to Mexico. Essentially, you're fired. You know, I did well with that, you're fired. But, so, that's right, we'll fire Hillary. Hillary, you're fired. Believe me. She'll be fired. She'll be fired if she ever gets a chance to run. I think she's being protected. You know, one of your local newscasters, a great person actually, said to me, well, what do you think of Hillary? Do you think she'll be allowed to run? Because she's going to win. Because, you know, it's a rigged system. By the way, just so you know, the Democrat system is rigged, but the Republican system is even worse, I will tell you. Because with the Democrats, you have the super delegates, and, you know, that's obvious. That's obvious. Because you'd read all the time, other than last night, Sanders wins. And then you see back there, they're saying, well, Sanders can't win. The reason, look, we got a rigged system, folks. We got a rigged system. The Republicans are worse. Here's this. I'm millions of votes ahead, millions of votes ahead of Lion Ted Cruz, right? I'm about 300 delegates ahead of Lion Ted. And, you know, it started when I looked and I won. And we have a great team. We have a great team. But it started when I looked at Louisiana. I win Louisiana. We had rallies like this, tremendous crowds, and I win. And I go home. And that election was on a Saturday. So I'm at Friday night. I'm at a massive airport hangar, tremendous, thousands and thousands of people. I made a speech. Everybody was crazy. I was going. I loved it. Everybody loved it. I leave. Next day they go, they vote, I win. And then I find out I get less delegates than the guy that I beat. I said, there's something wrong with the system. This system's not working too well. And, you know, even my enemies up there in the media agree with me in almost all cases. It's a rigged, crooked system that's designed so that the bosses can pick whoever they want and that people like me can't run and can't defend you against foreign nonsense and can't defend you against China and Japan and Mexico and Vietnam and India and every single country you can name, because we lose, believe me, with every deal we do. So it's a rigged system. It's rigged for the lobbyists. It's rigged for the donors, and it's rigged for the special interests. It's dishonest. And when you win the vote, you win. You don't go and win the vote. I mean, we have a situation in Pennsylvania where I'm doing great. And if you win Pennsylvania, you get 17 delegates. And the rest of them are up for grabs. What does that mean? And then they can take the delegates, they can put them in airplanes and fly them to resorts, they can have dinners with them, they can put them in hotels. Essentially what they're saying is they can buy the election. And I can buy more elections than they ever thought of, believe me. But I think it's such a bad system. It's so unfair. And it really is. I call her Crooked Hillary. I can tell you this is a crooked system. This is a bad, bad system. And we're going to get it changed. We're going to get it straightened out. Now, despite what I just said, because it's so voluminous and our victories are so big, like last night, when you get more than 61% of the vote with, remember this, with 2 people running. Now, they're not the best people, but they're people. But 2 people are running. It's hard to get over 50%. They wanted me so much, the media. They wanted me so much to go below that 50% mark. I would have had, if I had 49.99, I would have had headlines in every newspaper. Trump defeated. Trump, even though I beat him by 25, 30 points each, Trump defeated in New York. Well, anyway, we can't do that. So what happens, the only way we can really beat the system, we have a movement going, folks. We're on the cover of Time magazine. This is a movement. The only way we can beat the dishonest, rigged system is by you continuing to come out and vote. You're going to get your chance in a few weeks. Come out and vote big league. And here's the thing. I'm not controlled by somebody that gave me $10 million and he represents the pharmaceutical industry. I'm not controlled by people that represent energy and lumber and all of the others. I'm controlled by you. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the right thing. And the truth is, our country can never, ever come back with these politicians, because you have lobbyists in Washington, and they have on their forehead stamped, it says Cruz, it says Crooked Hillary, it says all sorts of, because you have lobbyists that take care of Cruz. You have a company that wants to leave Indiana and go someplace, and they say you can't do it. They go and they see Cruz, or they see this one or that one, any one of them. And you know what happens? 100%. Go ahead, folks. So it's not in the best interest of our country. And we're going to change it. They're all bought off with campaign contributions and super PAC money. And we're not going to let it happen anymore, because you're being affected. And then you wonder, why do we have these deficits when we shouldn't? Why are we taking such good care of other nations, and why are we taking care of their military? Why do we take care of Saudi Arabia, one of the richest countries in the world, making, during the higher prices, $1 billion a day? And we defend Saudi Arabia. And now we know Saudi Arabia, and I have a lot of friends in Saudi Arabia, they would not be there for a week if we didn't defend them. So why aren't they paying us a fair price? We're losing our shirts on every single thing we do, and we're going to stop it, okay? We're going to stop it. We are going to stop it. Did you ever hear that we spend more money than any military in the world by many times? I hear it all the time. We spend more money than any military in the world by many times. You know why? We're defending Germany. We're defending Japan. We're defending South Korea. We're defending Saudi Arabia. We're defending many places. Then we take care of NATO. We have 28 countries in NATO. It's an obsolete deal. I don't mean get rid of NATO. I mean modernize it, because we have to make something for terror. We have a new enemy. It's called radical Islamic terrorism, and we have to do something about it. And we take care of many of those countries, many of whom are, and which are rich countries, and they're delinquent. They don't pay. You know why? Because we're not led by people that have any clue as to what's happening. Either you pay or bye-bye, enjoy yourself defending yourself, folks, okay? Enjoy it. I mean, we have countries that are known delinquents. You know, in our businesses we call them, they're delinquent, meaning they don't pay their bills. So why aren't they paying? They're not paying because the United States has weak leadership. And you know what? I'll be firm, I'll be fair, and we will have better relationships with our allies than we do right now. Believe me, better. And they will pay and be and do what they're supposed to do. Because we don't have good relationships with China. Look, we've rebuilt China. We have rebuilt. It's the greatest theft, what they've done to us, the greatest theft in the history of the world. What they've done to us, they've taken our jobs, they've taken our base, they've taken our money. We've rebuilt China. And you hear that when you look at the deficits. Just look at the trade deficits. Look at the kind of money you're talking about. You go to China, they're building bridges all over the place. They're building roadways. They have trains that go 250 miles an hour. We have, what do we have? We have nothing. We have nothing. We have obsolete airports, broken roadways, schools that shouldn't even subsist. We go to places, we'll build a school 3 or 4 times. But if we want to build a school in Indiana, they'll say, no, I'm sorry, we don't have any money for that. So we're going to change our way. And here's the problem. Those countries that we help so much, they have no respect for us. So look at China. We give them all of this trade, all of this money. They rip us off. We want to do business there. They don't take our product. But if they do, they charge you a fortune in tax. Their tariffs are unbelievable. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks. But what do? In the South China Sea, they are building a military fortress, the likes of which you've never seen. Not supposed to do it. They're not supposed to be doing that. And yet, we make them rich. We're the ones paying for that. So all of that stuff ends if Donald Trump is elected president. Believe me, it all ends. You know, I was very honored over the weekend. There was a major story on Drudge, the top of Drudge, who's a fantastic guy, by the way, Matt Drudge. But at the top of Drudge was a major story that the Chinese finance minister, high up, is extremely angry with the rhetoric of Donald Trump. And I said, oh, that's great. Now, you know, I'm a candidate, I'm running. He was very angry. You know why? Because I've exposed that they've been ripping us off for so many years. And I'll get along with them just fine, folks. And I've dealt with China. I've made a fortune with China. I've made an absolute... I borrowed $1 million when I started, and I now have a company that's worth more than $10 billion. And that's the kind of thinking we need. Some of the greatest assets in the world, low debt, big cash flow. And I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. I'm saying we need that kind of thinking in this country because our country is going to hell. And for your coal people that are in this room, you know where your coal, first of all, the mines are all being shut down all over the country, and we're going to have clean coal. But you know where the coal goes? Goes to China. They burn it, and believe me, they don't clean it. And you're talking about the atmosphere, so give me a break. That's where it goes. So when this all started, it was June 16th. Who would have known this was going to happen? They all said, Trump will never run, these guys. Trump will never run. He's just having fun. Do you have another one? Nah. Yeah, I will say this, okay, for protesters. You know, if the crowd didn't say anything, you wouldn't hear them. They have very weak voices. It's when the crowd say, here he is, the whole place goes crazy. But it's more fun doing it that way, right? Yeah. So this all started on June 16th when I came down the escalator in Manhattan at Trump Tower with my wife. And, you know, it takes guts to run for president. I'll tell you, it takes guts. And I felt so badly about what was happening with our country. I look at the Iran deal, where we give Iran $150 billion. We get nothing. We get nothing. We don't even get our prisoners back. They should have never, ever negotiated that deal started until we had our prisoners back. We took our prisoners back, like, simultaneously with the checks going. It's a disgrace. And don't ever forget what they did to our 10 wonderful sailors, the way they treated those 10 wonderful sailors. And the only reason we have them back right now, you know the reason, because the money was supposed to pass the following day. And stupid they're not. They gave them back after roughing them up and roughing them up mentally and psychologically. Folks, when I'm running things, that stuff's not happening. It's not happening. Not going to happen. And we're going to have great relationships with them. They're going to respect us again. Hey, Putin said Donald Trump is a genius. Okay, is that nice? Doesn't mean anything. Donald Trump is a genius. He's a real leader. Now, you know, my people that I debate up here, these Republican folks that are taken care of by all the lobbyists, they said, we want you to disavow the fact. We want you to say disavow. And I said, I'm not disavowing that statement. No way, not in a million years. We'll get along with Russia. And what's wrong with getting along with Russia? And what's wrong with getting along with other countries? And what's wrong if Russia wants to drop million-dollar bombs on ISIS? I say, good, good, good. Our military geniuses, they say, oh, we don't want to do it. We want to do it ourselves. Believe me, we will get rid of ISIS so fast that your head will spin, okay? So fast. You know, for years and years, I'd read about medieval times. I love history. And in medieval times, they chopped off heads. But when do they do this? Now we're living in medieval times. We're weak. We're ineffective. During one of the debates, they asked Lying Ted about waterboarding. And he didn't want to answer because it was a very, it was a question. What do you think about waterboarding? And he didn't want to get involved because he was afraid it wasn't politically correct. And he gave a nothing answer, a weak, pathetic answer like we always give. They asked me, what do you think about waterboarding, Mr. Trump? I said, I love it. I love it. I think it's great. And I said, the only thing is we should make it much tougher than waterboarding. And if you don't think it works, folks, you're wrong. But, you know, there are laws. We have laws that we have to abide by. So I say we're going to have to strengthen the laws and toughen up the laws, and we're going to have to make ourselves tougher. Because they can chop off heads. They can drown people in steel cages, right? They can put people in steel cages by 25 and 50 people and drop them in the water and pull them up an hour later, and we can't waterboard. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? Don't forget, I said very strongly, take the oil. I've made lots of predictions. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm a little bit afraid of Trump, his tone. And, you know, he may be fast with a trigger. I'm the one that didn't want to go into Iraq. I said, if you go into Iraq, you're going to destabilize the entire Middle East, and Iran is going to take over Iraq, take over the oil. In addition to that, ISIS was formed, and ISIS has taken plenty of the oil. Now Hillary Clinton goes into Libya, and ISIS has taken over the oil. It just never ends. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean that mess up. You know, we're probably in there now for $5 trillion. We have to rebuild our country. We're going to knock the hell out of them, and then we're coming back, and we're going to rebuild our country. So when I came down the escalator, there were two things. One was trade, and the other was borders. And I was very strong on borders, and I shot up in the polls. And the trade, believe me, folks, I will handle it. You saw who was at my event last night. The greatest business people in the world. Carl Icahn endorsed me, many of them. I have great, great people. We are going to have our smartest business people. We have the best. They don't want to be paid. They're going to make the greatest trade deals you've ever seen. We're going to be fair to the other side, but it's not going to be a ripoff like it is now. So we're going to make great trade deals. We're going to make great border. And yes, that's true. We're going to have a strong border. Last week, 16,500 Border Patrol agents endorsed Donald Trump. It's the first time in their history that they ever endorsed a presidential candidate. And speaking of endorsements on the border, Sheriff Joe from Arizona, Joe Arpaio, endorsed Donald Trump. So we're going to have strong borders, and we're going to make sure that people come into the country because we want people to come into the country, but they have to come into the country legally. Or we don't have a country. So it started off very, build that wall. Don't worry. Oh, they love this wall. Do we love the wall? I'll tell you what, if Mexico, and I have great respect for Mexico, very interesting, Vicente Fox, you saw him a couple of weeks ago. He was so angry. They asked him about the wall. They said, will you pay one of the big cable networks? I won't say the one because then the other ones all turn off. See all the cameras that are running? They said to him, he was the former president of Mexico, will you pay for the wall? He said, we will not pay for the, and then he threw out the F-bomb. The anger. And you know why he was angry? Because nobody's ever talked to them. Nobody's ever said you have to pay. Nobody ever said it's a one-way street. It's not a one-way street anymore. It's a two-way street. It works two ways. It works where we have to be taken care of also. The United States has to be taken care of. America first, folks. It's called America First. It is. It's America first. So he's being interviewed, and he said, we won't pay for the, and then he used the F-bomb. Can you imagine if I used the F-bomb? I would be these guys. I'd be on every paper all over the. Nobody even reported. He actually used it on a major station, and he used the F-bomb. I said, I can't believe it. Oh, he's going to get killed tomorrow. No, nobody wrote it. But here's what I loved. His anger was so incredible because he couldn't believe that somebody would say they have to do something. Because you know what? Mexico, and again, I have thousands of Hispanics that work for me. They're phenomenal people, okay? Phenomenal people. Thousands. Tens of thousands over my lifetime. They're phenomenal people. And by the way, I won the state of Nevada. They did a poll with Hispanics coming out, and Donald Trump was by far #1 in the poll with the Hispanics, #1 in the poll. But here's the good news. He said, we won't pay. But a year before, he said, we will never allow a wall. Now he accepts the wall. That's the good news. And believe me, folks, they'll pay. So when I get off the debate stage, one of the people that I'm debating comes over. Donald, you know, this was at the beginning. How well did I do in the debates? I never did that stuff before. #1. Center stage every single time, right? Every debate. And they all said, good job. We did a good job. But they came off and they said, you know Donald will never be able to build a wall. Why not? Why not? In China, they built a wall 13,000 miles long. Think of that. China! They didn't have Caterpillar tractors either. China built a wall that was 13,000 miles long. This wall is 1,000 miles because we have oh, that's okay. Where is he? Let me see what he looks like. Let me see. Where is he? Yeah, get him out of here. Get him out. Get him out of here. You know, somebody said they obstruct our free speech, which is true. You know, we took over this place, and they do. And we could throw him in jail, but I don't know. We don't want to ruin somebody's life, right? It's too tough. Too tough. He's screaming, put him in jail. Would you want to go to jail? I don't think so, no. I don't want to ruin his life. You know, he was told to do it by somebody. Hey, did you see in New York? We had protesters in New York, and they went out, the press, at a hotel that I had built on 42nd Street. And the press goes out, and they're interviewing these protesters. And they're saying, why are you here? And the guy's holding a sign, and the sign was backwards. Why are you here? I don't know. Another one. What do you think of Donald Trump? Oh, I like him. It's good. I'm telling you, it's such a phony deal, folks. And I haven't had a lot of protesters lately. I'm actually sort of disappointed, but I haven't had a lot lately because they do make it exciting. But they went out and they interviewed the people. They didn't even know why they were protesting. It's a total phony deal. There's so much phony stuff between the Republican Party voting and the Democrats, between banking systems where it's a phony deal, the economy. We're going to straighten the country out properly, and we're going to do a job. You're going to be so proud of your country. I'm telling you. You're going to be so proud. So I want to finish up because, you know, when I came here, I said the media thing, because long before I knew I would even be doing, I've been hearing about Carrier. I bought a lot of Carrier air conditioners over my life. And by the way, I'm not buying any more if you don't mind. Okay, no more Carrier. But, so here's what happens. Here's what happens. My wife says, and my daughter Ivanka, they say, Dad, be more presidential, right? Be more presidential. Now, as president, I'm not supposed to be calling up air conditioning companies. Do we agree? I'm not supposed to be calling. Yeah, get them out right now. Get them out. Come on, police. I gave you a big build-up before, police. Get them out. But I want to do it myself because it's so easy. So I'll call up. Can you imagine I'm sitting in the Oval Office, but I'll have a little free time, and it's too easy. I don't have to give those one to Carl Icahn or any of them. I call up the head of Carrier. I say, congratulations, I hear you're moving to Mexico. Yes, Mr. President, we are. I say, well, let me just tell you something, folks. I hope you enjoy your plant. I hope you enjoy the very hot weather. But you're leaving Indiana, and we're going to protect the people of Indiana. You're leaving Indiana. And here's the story for you. And please take it back to your shareholders. Every single time you make an air conditioning unit, you're going to have a major tax to pay when you sell it in the United States. Now, remember this. Remember this. The only way. You know, our politicians have been working on this problem for 5 years. Nothing ever happens because they don't understand this is the only way. They want to give incentives. That's an incentive. And when they do the new numbers, it doesn't work. And here's what's going to happen. If it were a guy like Lion Ted, they'll call him up and they'll say, the lobbyists will call him, the special interests, they'll all call. He'll say, oh, okay, we won't do anything. If it's Hillary, crooked Hillary, if it's Hillary, somebody will call her, one of the special interest groups, and she'll say, oh, okay, we'll leave them alone. If it's me, nobody can call me. Do you know how much money I've turned down? I feel so foolish. I've turned down so much money. I could have had a fortune and run for office. I would have met, you know, Jeb Bush raised $148 million. You believe that? What a waste of money that was. Oh, man. I would have had 4 times more money in half the time, and I turned it down. In fact, sometimes I feel foolish. You know, my whole life, I'm a business person, so you'll understand this. My whole life I take. As a businessman, I take. I'm greedy, I take. And you know what? Now I'm taking for the American people. That's what I'm going to do. No, we're not going to let this stuff happen. We're not going to let this stupidity happen. So here's the story. So Carrie's going to say to me, well, we're not going to do it. Good. I'll say, good, very good, tax. Now, here's what happens. Within 24 hours, they will call back, Mr. President, we've decided to stay in Indianapolis, where you're going to have a good football team this year, by the way, in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going to stay in Indiana, Mr. President. We've decided to stay. Because let me tell you, when you do what I say, they want to leave, it's fine. But there have to be consequences when they leave. There are no consequences when they fire my 2 friends over there. Raise your hand again. Do you like the idea of taxing the hell out of those air conditioners? We lose on trade. We have a trade deficit with Mexico of $58 billion a year. And I have these politicians that are on the stage with me saying Mexico will never pay for the wall. The wall is going to cost $10 billion. Believe me, if we're losing that kind of money on trade, and if we want $10 billion, which is a tiny fraction of the money we're talking about, only the worst business person in this room couldn't make a deal. That deal will be made 100%, and it will be a serious wall. It will be a real wall. It will be a lot higher than this sort of low ceiling. And it will be, remember, if they ever get up to the top of that wall, they're going to look down and they're going to say, oh, boy, this is going to be painful. I don't want to go down. Now, we're going to have a real wall. We're going to take care of those 2 guys and your other 1,300. You understand what I'm going to say, right? We're going to take care. Will you spread the word to we will get them. And maybe it's not even too late. They ought to do this fast. Let them tell them you're going to pay a damn tax when you leave this country and you think you're going to sell product because we're all so stupid. We have leaders that don't know what they're doing. We have leaders that are stupid people, and we have leaders that are corrupt people. They're controlled by their campaign contributions. And believe me, if I were in office right now, Carrier would not be leaving Indiana. That I can tell you. That I can tell you. So, folks, here's the story. This was a stop that was unexpected, and frankly, after 2 days, like, look at this crowd. But I told my people I want to go to Indiana. Indiana is going to be very important because we have a movement going on that's on the cover of Time magazine many times. We have a movement going on that everybody is talking about. We have a movement going on. I did Bill O'Reilly tonight, so you'll watch. I just did him. I did him backstage. I couldn't hear a question because you people were making so damn much noise. I couldn't hear his question. I couldn't hear his questions. But watch O'Reilly tonight. But, you know, last night I was watching O'Reilly, and he was talking about the movement. And he said in his lifetime, think of this is Bill O'Reilly, Fox. He said in his lifetime, he have never seen anything like what he said I've done, but what we've done. He said he's never seen. He said it's the most important, and think of this. He said, and I'm, you know, pretty much paraphrasing, but pretty much his way. He said, it is the single most important event, political event, that he has seen in his lifetime. He said, with the possible exception of the killing of JFK. That's a big statement, okay? That was a big statement. And I'm watching, and I'm saying, really? And the truth is, it is a massive thing that's happening in our country. Because we don't want to be the stupid people anymore. We don't want to be the people that haven't had an effective wage increase in 20 years. And we're working longer hours and we're getting older. We don't want to be people that are taken advantage of, both militarily and economically, by every single nation in the world with this free trade stuff. And I believe in free trade, but it's not working for our country. It works for their country. So here's the story, folks. I want you, and I say this sometimes when I'm in the right mood, when I think this is an amazing group of people, to think of the time of day and the whole thing, to have a building this big packed into the corners. Here's the story. Our country doesn't win anymore. We don't win on trade. We don't win with our military. We can't even beat ISIS. We don't win. Can you imagine Douglas, General MacArthur, if you gave him the word to knock out ISIS? It would take him 3 days. General George Patton, who was not a politically correct person, so he could probably never be a general, a colonel, probably couldn't be a sergeant or a corporal. General George Patton. You say, General, knock out ISIS. Yes, sir. 3 days later, where's ISIS? They're gone. Okay. We drop, at least, we go over the oil trucks. I've said, take the oil. I didn't want to go into Iraq, but when we got out, we shouldn't have gotten out the way we got out. We shouldn't have said the day we're leaving, and we should have left some people behind, and we should have kept the damn oil, okay? And now who has the oil? ISIS has the oil, and essentially Iran is going to have all of it because they're going in as sure as you. For years they fought. They fought each other. They were the same military might. So they'd go here, 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 here. They'd fight for 4 or 5 years. They'd rest. Then they'd start. This went on for a long time. We come in, we obliterate one, and the other's now just walking in. The way we got out of Iraq is disgraceful. The way we got out of Iraq, remember this, is disgraceful. So what I say is the following. We should have kept the oil. We didn't keep the oil. Right now, when we go over the oil, you know what we do? We drop leaflets to let them know we're going to start bombing. We tell the truck drivers, please evacuate your truck, because in 1 hour, we're coming to bomb. No more. They want to drive a truck. Oh, it's going to be a painful drive. It's going to be a painful drive. So here's the story, folks. You're going to remember this beautiful afternoon in Indiana. And you're going to say you had a good time, but more importantly, in a couple of weeks when it comes time for Indiana to vote, you're going to go out and vote. And you're going to look back at that vote, and you're going to say that that was the single greatest and most important vote that you've ever cast. Because when you cast that vote, our country is going to start winning again. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win with our military. We're going to win for our vets. We're going to win with Common Core. We're going to knock it out, and we're going to bring education local. You're going to win with health care. We are going to terminate Obamacare and replace it with something so much better. You're going to win with your Second Amendment, because our Second Amendment is under siege, and we need our Second Amendment. And we're going to win on our borders. We're going to have strong, beautiful borders. People come in legally. We're going to have the wall. Everything is going to be a win. And you're going to say, you know what? When I cast that vote for Donald Trump to be president of the United States, and when he won shortly thereafter, our country became great again. We started to win again. And believe me, we're going to win, win, win. Remember, make America great again. Go out and vote. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much.